Hello, it's John. Come on, Patch. And Patch. Let me introduce, if you've not met him before. This is my... Oh, he's just weeing. My Papillon, Patch. Or should I say, Patch is his own dog. I just happen to be his friend and take him on walks. Come on, Patch. Let's go. He loves it here. I feel a lot of dogs come here. Well, I don't just feel it. You can see that by the number of times that Patch stops to sniff, it's a reality. So I was guided back here, in part by you guys. I'm going to talk about a few themes, including self-love, and I'll be demonstrating psychic abilities as we go. And I'm just going to ask, as always, I did it just before I recorded yesterday's video, it's asking permission of the woods, the forest, the local elementals to connect with them, and I would like to connect to talk to them about self-love. So let's ask, one of you had asked for me to talk to the mushrooms here, so let's say hello to this fungus. Just saying hello. Wow, the charge. Beautiful. And just asking the fungus about, there's some maggots there in the middle, just asking about self-love. And first of all, the charge is feeling a really deep, strong connection into the mycelial network. Mycelium? The forest, and a really beautiful charge. A lot of it's surfaced up through there. So this fungus was describing how tree stumps hold and store the ancient wisdom of the tree. And so as the tree stump decays, the rest, that knowledge, those life experiences, the lessons learnt, they decompose back into the forest to be learnt by the tree's descendants. And the fungus was describing how, as part of this process, it's an act of self-love to honour all of what you've learnt and experienced in your life, to truly receive its importance and how it can benefit others. Thank you so much. That was definitely fun. Please insert your mushroom jokes, your fun, because you're fun guys, and you're never going to run out of room for mushroom jokes or puns. If I remember any others, I'll let you know. But yeah, please let me know about your mushroom jokes. I was also guided by a friend to buy some mushroom, I guess you describe it a bit like it's a mushroom hot drink, somewhat, some people use it as an alternative to coffee. I am highly addicted to coffee. It's one of my few addictions left in life, and I'm kind of hanging on to it, but I also accept there's going to be a time and a place for me to let go of it. Okay, I'm just dealing with what Patch is left for me to pick up, which I'll try and keep off camera. Thank you, Patch. It's a lot. Okay. Let's also ask this tree. So there's a tree leaning into the path. I feel this path has existed before the tree grew. Look at that. So the tree, how cool is this? The tree goes, nice big thick trunk, and then it goes all the way up. And so this curve here is directly above the path, so it's really leaning into the path. It feels very inviting. So just asking the tree. I've asked the forest, the woods, but I'm just going to ask the tree if I can connect. It says yes. It has some messages for me. It knows I've been talking to them, to the fungus and mushrooms. Thank you. So the first observation from the tree is that I'm very much on a journey of self-love, and this is one of my key soul lessons, is to learn how to, not just the principles of self-love, but how to enact it. And that self-love is somewhat the key to the existence of a happy, healthy forest, and also happy, healthy humanity and world. Wow, thank you. Do you have any self-love tips? To honor thyself, and to honor your role, within your family, within the world. Thank you so much, tree. You're beautiful. Wow. Is it okay to have favorite trees? To show favoritism? Ah, this is beautiful. It was really funny because this is an act of self-love. Today, if you watched my earlier video, I was up at 3:30 a.m, left home about 4:30, and took my wife and daughter to Edinburgh Airport. Literally just turned around, hit record, and drove back. And then my next act of self-love was to just go straight to bed. And it's so tempting to just repeat your daily routine. It's like, oh, I could go for a run, I could, do a song, all these things, and I love doing all those things. But I had a kind of, it's been so many years since I drank alcohol, I don't really remember the full sensations of a hangover, but or should I say, maybe some of those sensations will never leave me as a memory. I do feel that I felt tired, and it's like, that's it, I'm going back to bed. So I went back to bed and woke up feeling pretty pleased with myself. It's like, look what I did. I did a self-care thing, a self-love thing. That's fantastic. Well done, John. Look at these beautiful roots here. Let me just ask, why do trees' roots, just going to ask this tree here, why do you expose your roots, or are they exposed through erosion? I love the answer. The answer is you can decide, you can hunt for this evidence of this yourself, but this tree is telling me that it's because it likes to move its roots. So when the ground is damp enough, and it certainly gets muddy here, the trees can move their roots, and not necessarily significant distances, and it's usually at night, and they can stretch out and grow more freely. I don't know how aware our modern science is of this, but I do have a little bit of experience of that. My running route used to be through the woods near my home every day, and you'd be amazed at how your mind can map a forest, and yet it feels that the roots would shift. No, it could just be the mud and the earth shifting and not the roots. The tree is alive, and there's a lot still to discover about trees. Oh, look at this wee home. A wee hobbit home. It's lovely. This tree here is saying, look, I've got a dress. I don't know if you can quite make it out on camera. It's all kind of in one. All looks like one tree, but that's lovely. So my self-love journey, taking a little bit back in time, back in 2017, prior to my first big spiritual awakening and my start of my meditation practice each day, I was working full-time, many hours at Amazon as a senior software manager. I've been in the industry for 26 years. And I was running different teams, and being in Scotland is primarily working with the leadership teams in Seattle in the US. And often there was a lot of pressure to work, longer days as a result. So usually I'd be working something between about 8:30 to, sometimes 8:30, like that 12-hour days, because of the overlap with an 8-hour time difference. And also a big thank you to my client this morning, who was up at 2 a.m. doing their session with me, and how the world changes. And it's just, I feel so grateful that you're willing to not just book sessions with me, but attend at difficult hours. I also offer a recorded version of these sessions, which you don't need to wake up for. So if you have booked a session and you don't want to wake up at that time on Zoom, you can be happily sleeping as I do a session remotely. And they're often in a lot more detail, and they're often much more, they go much deeper, which is a really fascinating phenomena. And something like, I say it in my weekly newsletter, but something like 80% of people that book a remote session then go on to book a subsequent session. So my self-love back in 2017 was poor. I would say the only thing I would do for myself was that it just happens in that time in my life. I was, for a few years, 2 or 3 years, I was going every Wednesday to an open mic night. So I'd go along and sing some cover songs, 1 or 2 of my own songs, and that was helpful. But I remember I'd also drink. When I first started doing it, I was still drinking alcohol. I guess 2015, 2016. It wasn't until into 2017 and beyond that I stopped. So whilst I enjoyed it in the short term, it was still a bit of a challenge the next day. A temporary act of self-love. And I struggled with the concept. It's quite funny, that funny noise, I kind of swallow my throat chakra. I struggled with the concept of really looking after myself. Habits I had back then was working really hard and I just pushed my body. My attitude was wake up in the morning at 5 a.m., go for a run, push my body to wake itself up. I did see it as a weakness. If my body felt sleepy or tired, I felt you just need to wake up. And so I'd really push to run and then come back and do some weights and exercises, and then fill myself with coffee and either go to work in the city or work from home. And if I work from home, I'd just start work earlier, and I'd work. One thing I did do is for many years I was pretty good at taking lunches. I actually saw a huge strategic benefit, if you like, in all my selfishness of having lunch with your team. Always seemed to gave them an opportunity to complain about stuff, and also express positive things. And so I often felt that it was really powerful to just go and sit with other people. And in those at Amazon, we had a canteen you could kind of go and sit in, or at least just a sitting area where you cook your own food and go and sit. So that really helped. So not entirely consciously an act of self-love. And when I was at home, I'd go for walks, and sometimes like this one. By the way, the rest of the video is not just me talking. I will be doing some more interactions. I'm just being reminded of that by my spirit guide, Maya. There's a specific place I want to take you that we didn't go yesterday, so excited for that. And things started to get worse for me. This somewhat inevitably happens in our lives when we persistently, consistently ignore our self-care and self-love, that our health deteriorates. I now know that emotion is really second to consciousness. Emotion is the most powerful energy, and it is the action of our consciousness. And when we have negative thoughts towards ourselves, we eat and drink our own poison. And that's also why we battle with alcohol and drink, various drinks. Oh, that's a lovely butterfly, thanks. And we also battle with food. And I would do things, especially before I stopped drinking, before I started meditating. I would work myself really hard all day. I was drinking almost every day, and at the end of the day, I would just, have a couple of drinks, didn't really care about counting them, didn't care how many I had, and didn't care what time I went to sleep, although it seemed to be fairly regular, 10, 11 o'clock, up at 5. And how to describe it, I was just on this constant journey towards burnout. And what actually ended up happening at work is that quite a few people ended up leaving because they were burning out and really stressed. And if anything, my hyper productivity, you can see how many YouTube videos I make, etc. And this is me quite calm. This is some of my self-love, at least some of it kicked in. I was just pushing and pushing and pushing. A lot of people would say to me, John, how do you manage to do the work of 4 or 5 people? And at one point I was literally, we ended up hiring those 5 people eventually. And others found it quite intimidating, which was never my conscious intention. But it does have a real effect on others when we push ourselves really hard and don't look after ourselves. It encourages others to do the same, and vice versa. When you practice self-love, you can really encourage others to practice their self-love. And eventually I just got to the stage I was like, something's got to change. I remember having this conversation with my wife. I've said this publicly a few times on videos. And by the way, if you're interested, there's something called the Liberation Vlogs, which I made public, which is a series of videos I made before I left my corporate job because I was so scared of leaving. Oh yeah, this is where I fell over last time. I almost fell just there. I'm just going to flip the camera around in case we capture any hilarious falling. Just taking my time. Taking my time. Okay. And I remember just feeling so stressed. It felt that every day my heart was aching more, my chest was aching. Just this stillness, this mist, this fog. It only really cleared when I went on holiday or vacation. And I remember saying to my wife, something's got to give, something's got to change. I've got to do something. And the very first thing my wife suggested is that we buy a holiday house to let out as a business. And I was like, I don't want more debt. I already felt under pressure. At the time we had a 6-bedroom house, and I was working so many hours. I felt so pressured to pay the mortgage and to survive. And she said, well, remember, you can never go wrong. You're earning all this money. Let's make the most of it. You can never go wrong with buying property in the UK anyway. So we did. In fact, I didn't even see the place. My wife went ahead and she just sent me photos and videos after she visited and bought it. There's a whole other story behind that, and how our past lives had sought out that experience in this life. I've got an insect on my neck. I can't get to it. Hang on a sec. That's better. Yeah, so let me show you a little bit here as we go. We sang yesterday. Here it feels like we could sing again. So I knew something had to give, and eventually, this was after the lockdowns, is that right? Or thereabouts? Oh, look at this. Beautiful. We decided I would go part-time and take a reduction in salary. And yeah, it was after the lockdowns. And yeah, I went from 5 days to 3 days a week for the last 2 years at Amazon. And that was a huge act of self-love and a big step towards stepping into this work full-time. And let's just take a moment. I'd like to speak with our ancestors here. And I keep saying our ancestors because I feel like we're all one big family on earth. Orati mi takara uno soromo uma. I'm asking for a small audience. And I'm seeing them in my third eye, these a whole wide range of beings, some fae beings, humans, witches, sages, and they're stepping forwards from just behind the trees. And I'm opening up my heart. Ora ketik moro sono komo tichisi. And I'm saying in Elvian light language, I'm here with an open heart to sing to you and to celebrate you. And I'm just going to turn you around so you can see me and them. Mi heya ruhi ma ro Asia Oromia. And a little bit of dragon-like language. Rasamaya. Rasamaya tikama. Oh, thank you, beautiful souls. And that song I dedicate to all our ancestors, to all the souls that have fought and died for, that have lived and experienced for these beautiful lifetimes that we now live. And Patch says thank you too. Okay. And our ancestors, one of them just stepped forward and said, John, don't forget to go to the place. Okay, there's a special place I need to take you. Don't forget, John. Yeah, so a big change. Going back to me. A big change was going part-time. And I started to do, I'd already for a few years have been doing, after 2017, after the lockdowns, for a few years I've been doing twice a week, doing what I now call quantum psychic healing session. So I just learned that that job on the go. I never received training for it. I just started by sending golden light to my first client, Nancy, and then my first two clients were both called Nancy. They are friends, and I just kept going. I just kept doing 2 sessions a week. And even up to the time that I left my corporate job, that was still really, at best that was it. And for the vast majority, I hadn't been charging. And, after all my costs, websites and Zoom licensing and mailing lists and all these things, I was breaking even at best on my costs, which is still a good start. And it's just a really lovely feeling about this rock here. this clay. It's lovely. It feels very, very old, very ancient, which is funny for clay because you often think it's so transient. It's saying to me that it's from the sediment of when this river was, which you can barely see, was much bigger, much stronger. It's called it ancient river sediment, and beautiful. And yeah, these sediments are so powerful, right? They hold and store beautiful energy and the ancient wisdom and all the lessons that we heard the fungi and the tree trunk talking about, how they release those life experiences into earth. Sediment is kind of build up of many, many creatures, many, many living things over very long periods of time. Okay. I started to realize that, one big thing that happened to me actually is my work fear dramatically increased, because I would have 4 days off, and then I'd work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for about 10 hours each. And so the days off, although I, practically had the space I could physically go and do what I wanted, a big challenge was that I just couldn't really focus all the time. I couldn't be present all the time because I was worried about, every time I went back to work, I had to restart everything. We hired a manager to take over from my role. That was one of the conditions of me going part-time, was effectively to manage myself out of a job eventually, was the feeling, or change role. And yeah, we're going down here, Patch. This is where we're guided to go. We didn't go here yesterday. It was so funny that I felt so scared about leaving. And yet, when I really feel into the fear, this lesson took me months, right, to get, maybe as many as 8 months, is I realized that it wasn't so much that I was scared of the new job or new business, etc. It was more that I was worried about burning myself out in my new job, in my new business. This bench is dedicated to Davy Jameson of Aberdour, 1926 to 2014, gifted. And he gifted his beloved Brock wood to this trust. Thank you so much, Davy. And if you can look just through there, you'll see there's a wee, it's like a wee ruin. Can you see it straight ahead? Very cool. Okay, let's go up here, Patch. Can you make it across? See Patch navigating some spiky bits. Up you go. Can you do it? Got your bit caught. On you go. There we go. Let's have a wee look. I think we're up above and on top of a ruin and a tunnel beneath us. We can't get down this way. I don't know if you heard it earlier, but I heard someone talking. They seemed really close. There is another car here, so I was kind of expecting at least one more person here. But it's not the first time I've heard someone talking kind of like a kind of like a murmur. Okay, Patch, don't go underneath. You'll get your lead trapped. Oh, you did it. Okay, smart Patch. Ouch, that is jaggy. So, I really wanted to leave my corporate job much earlier. So this must have been September, October 2023. I was so ready to leave. And I spoke to my wife about it. And, I said, oh, I'm thinking of leaving. And of course that terrified her a bit, because she's thinking, whenever Jon says he's thinking of something, he's already decided, it's already going to happen. And, she doesn't get a say, and it's going to be, it was a huge shift for us as a family, right? It was a big decision to make. But I really wanted to leave earlier. That was what was, my instinct was driving me to do. But really, it was an act of self-love, to what I thought anyway, to come away from Amazon and go full-time, just being Jon Binnie, self-titled spiritual psychic mentor. And what I learned was, my guides kept showing me, if you remember, I also posted recently about my deepest, darkest shadow work in the summer of 2023, which I'd only just come out of, that really what happened is, my guides were saying, Jon, you've got to prepare your ship. There's a storm raging outside. You've got to prepare yourself for this transition. And what I didn't realize was that the storm was me. And that what I was really facing was, if I hadn't even begun to address the inner challenges I had about lack of self-care and my feelings of lack, I would burn myself out so fast. I don't think I would have lasted 2 or 3 months. I would have, because basically I would have been saying to myself, oh, Jon, you're not getting enough bookings. Just work harder, because that had served me in the past. And when I'd work harder, I'd just get more tired. Even when I didn't have bookings, I'd be pushing too hard, advertising, doing more songs, trying lots of different things, just always push. And the reality is, it's not the way reality works. And actually, it's the opposite way around. The more you do things like this, you take time out, you look after yourself, you follow your joy, follow your passion, you take care of yourself, you love yourself, then you really start to get, you start to create more abundance in your life. So I started to learn that a happy, healthy Jon with a nice, happy, healthy, open heart is able to attract in more abundance into his life. Isn't that cool? What a happy coincidence that I can just be happy, do the things I love, and that by doing the things I love, I create videos like this, which are much more fun, because I know you guys want to see me out enjoying myself, because I know that from, you always give me beautiful comments and engage in my videos more when you see me living my dream life. And my energy lifts, my vibration lifts, because I'm in more joy and gratitude. And then also, I feel when I create any content, that joy and happiness is encoded into, I think this is it, I think it's the secret passage, is encoded into what I create. Okay, Patch, let's go down. This is it. The fallen tree marks the way. Come, Patch. This way. I'm going to keep quiet. I don't know why yet. It's been guided to be quiet. This is so cool. I haven't been down here for ages. Oh, check it out. This place is magical. If this makes sense, I can hear the voice. It's a male voice, just on this little stream here. Almost the voice comes out of the bubbles in the air. And look at this ruin, this cool tunnel. Wow. So there's a being that lives here still. What's that? Something flapping in the water. There's a being that lives here. Quite small. It does sometimes stay in the tunnel there. Its heritage is Fae. If you saw it, you might call it a pixie, Fae being, a troll. I'm just going to come over here. Wow, look at this tree here. Oh, you can see, look at that. You see the whole, look how the light does that. That's incredible. Portakami ti sono koromo. Seeing if it's in there, it'll show itself. Very cool. And I'm guided to just touch the stone here. The 2 fingers is what the being does here. It leaves its energy in the stone. So this is what you do when you come across another being's land, its home. Just place your hands on, a bit like a dog sense. You can touch the area. That lens flare is so cool, isn't it? Touch the stone, ideally, if not a tree or the water, and just say hello with your energy. So it used to live in, this was a house, extends across there, and it used to go across the top of the river to the other side. And it, after that, fell, it went on and lives here and shelters under the tunnel when the weather's bad. And what we heard splashing around in the water was this being. Very cool, thank you. And thank you to David Jameson for donating this beautiful forest, these woods. So before we leave this place, I wanted to offer some of my self-care tips. So these are my own practices, right? You have to decide your own. We all get to choose how to love, excuse me, to love ourselves and how we do it. So for me, I enjoy walks in nature. For me, I self-love going on adventures, camping adventures. I love spending time with my loved ones, my wife and children and Patch. I love music. I love meditation. I love long baths at the weekends. I love runs in nature. I love watching movies. I love napping. I love food that nurtures me. I love water and coffee. Water that nurtures me and coffee that I just enjoy. And I enjoy, there's one more thing I want to share. Oh, sky watching. Watching the sky, watching the clouds, hunting for UAPs, UFOs, calling in our galactic brothers and sisters. And I do love my work, but I also acknowledge, I mean, I really love it. It's the best job I've ever had, by far. I also acknowledge the work aspect of it, and that's important, because a lot of the things I've just listed are sometimes at tension with my mission. And the more of these things I can find where, oh, I look so funny in this hat, where I can live my dream life and share it with others. You know, I feel like you're walking right next to me here, that I can have self-care and self-love at the same time. I genuinely feel rested, and just breathing in that air, that forest air. Oh my God. Seeing our ancestors, visiting the little fey being. These are all just magical experiences that tick multiple boxes on my self-care list. So thank you. And you know me, I won't edit this video. I'll just literally, once I stop recording, just hit the upload button. But let me know your self-care practices. And I also have a self-care meditation. I have a free one and a premium one. The free one's about 10 minutes, I think, and then the premium one's about 45 minutes. And you can choose which of those you like. If I remember, I'll put them in a comment link. If I don't remember, please remind me and I'll do it. Also, we're going live today with Viviane Heller and Chloe Rose at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Time, and 4:30 p.m. UK Time, doing your readings, clearings, healings, and predictions. You just put them in all capitals in the live chat. On YouTube, you often have to swipe across to see the live chat. Lots of people will be chatting and placing their requests, and then we randomly pick those and just do our best to work through as many as we can. Often we get, I don't really know how many we get through, at best like 20 or 30, and randomly picked from 100 or more. So, but if you want, something more in depth, and you want me to help you in more detail, then book a session with me, and just go to jonbinnie.com, and we can work together in more detail. But thank you so much. And we're back. We're back at the camper van. There's a lovely butterfly floating around it. Come on, Patch. And I can see both fans are open, which means it's warmer in the camper van than 26 degrees Celsius. Come on, Patchy. Let's go, buddy. He loves it here so much. I can see it's one of his favorite walks. Especially as he gets older, he loves sniffing more than he does walking. That's right, Flappy Patch. So yeah, thank you so much. It's been such an honour. I think that other car is gone. That's quite fascinating. So I wonder what that voice was that we heard. It does feel that it was the owner that donated this place. That was me just trying to adjust the camera. Anyway, take care, sending love.